My name is ZEESHAN Zakaria. I'm an educator and an entrepreneur. And I did my TEDx in Kuwait on Shiko. So when IUB got in touch with me, I was thinking, what do I do it on? And then they told me what the theme is, which is redefine independence. So I asked myself, what is the biggest challenge that we, South Asians, face in the Indian subcontinent? And the biggest challenge we face is naysayers, those who have something negative to say to you to put you down. And no matter what background you come from, you could be poor, middle class, rich, you could be confident, you could have all the tools and the resources, but people who are close to you can put you down so much that you give up, that you quit. So I thought today I should provide, or try to, provide some inspiration by showing you how I went through those negative moments in my life and how I fought back, and hopefully show you that I succeeded. I have 3 little markers. It's a theme now with my TEDx speeches. This time it's resistance, resilience, and freedom. And you'll see why those 3 things will echo throughout my presentation to give you some inspiration, hopefully. All right? I'm going to make you stand in a bit, but before that, let's look at some of the things that people say in our country. Rifat e pai tumi pao na keno. And I know TEDx is for a global audience, so I have subtitles for everything. Bad de toke diye hobe na. It could be a friend saying it could be a cousin saying it could be a colleague saying it. Pagol naki ei degree diye তুই কি করবি বিবিএ কর ভাই. Right? শোনো ব্যবসার ঝুঁকি না নিয়ে টাকাটা ফিক্সড ডিপোজিটে রাখো. Trust me, don't do this. তোমার বাবার স্বপ্ন তুমি ডাক্তার হবা বাবা. But what about my dream? What about my dream? সোমানটি ছেলে তোমাকে বিয়ে করতে চায়. It doesn't matter who you love, who you like, who you have a crush on, because সোমানটি ছেলে তোমাকে বিয়ে করতে চায়. আবার ভাগনা এই ফটোগ্রাফি করলে তোমার বিয়ে দিমু কেমনে? Right? So if you're doing photography, how will I get you married? I can't put that on your biodata. And this one's my favorite. My dad said this to me once. I was in the lift, and he looked at me and he said, half pant, manush ki bolbe. And honestly, I don't remember what exactly the situation was where we were going, but it really wasn't a big deal to wear half pant. But my dad's an ex-general, so you know, he has his ways. And so he said, half pant, manush ki bolbe. Hence my theme today is manush ki bolbe, because a manush ki bolbe er bhoye amra achieve korte pari na. Choto jinish hok, boro jinish hok. We cannot achieve things because of this phrase. What will people say? So again, to fight that, you need to resist. That's the first step. You need to resist. But people will not give up. The negative people in your life are very resilient, especially in our culture. They don't stop. Oh, you've gained a bit of weight, haven't you? Then you lose weight. You've lost too much weight. There's no winning. And then hopefully, the third step, you achieve mental freedom. Because without that mental freedom, again, it doesn't matter what background you come from, you'll be stuck. So let me tell you a bit about myself. This portion of the presentation has nothing to do with anything that I've achieved. It is something that inspires me. So I want to show you my little journey from when I was a child. And hopefully you can pick something that your dad did or your best friend did to drive inspiration, because it's not easy to have the courage to resist and be resilient and keep fighting, fighting, fighting till you get freedom. So I was born with a hole in my heart. I struggled to breathe since I was born. My parents were confused as to what's happening, and then they realized if there's any medical students, I had VSD. And then my dad, through the help of the army, he was in the army, he messaged the army through the embassies, got in touch with Thailand, China, and India. This is 1987. I was born in 1986. No country, none of these ones, had heart surgeons who could operate on a child who's as young as me. I was 1 year old. Yeah? So my parents were like, okay, we have to operate in Bangladesh. A team of surgeons used to come from America and operate for charity. I was next in line. There was a girl who got operated before me. Same thing, hole in her heart. Operation was successful. And then post-op care, she died. When she died, she was the same age as me, similar age as me. When she died, my parents were like, hell no. We're not giving up. We're not doing it in Dhaka anymore. They're obviously too scared. So then, my dad started writing letters. Back in the day, there was no phone calls or anything. He wrote letters to hospitals requesting for charity, because forget a ticket to America. My father could not even afford, you know, half a plane ticket. Yeah, the army used to pay peanuts, okay? And one hospital, my dad's an ex-cadet, one of his baro bhais, older brothers, he got in touch, he said, Zakaria, there's a hospital in New York, Long Island, they're doing 3 operations for charity from 3 continents. One from South America, one from Australasia, and one from Asia. And they'll do it completely free. I'm that boy from Asia. I was one of those 3. This is the before. My parents still couldn't afford anything. So at the time, President Ershad, his wife, the first lady, she donated us plane tickets, and the army gave us some money, and then boom, look who's in town, let's go, okay? So I had to go for a checkup every 6 years to the States, again, completely free. So all us 3 babies that they operated on, we kept going till we were 18. I was told I can not play 2 things, rugby, because hard tackles on the chest may have an impact on me, and I can't play golf. What are the chances of a golf ball hitting me in my chest? I don't know, but they said I can't, okay? Fast forward to the age of 16, my mother's dream was engineering. I'm a numbers guy, so I told you I'm an educator. By trade, I'm a teacher of mathematics, and I loved anything to do with numbers. I used to do accounting, and in 6 months, I finished the O-levels 2 years paper. 6 months, done. I gave a mock, I got an A. My mom made me drop accounting and take chemistry. And in my O-levels, I got an E in chemistry. That was my only E. Now listen up. I took my mom's permission to say this at TED, by the way. You don't want to, defame her publicly without her permission. I love her to bits. I don't judge her one bit. It's not her fault. Your parents learn parenting from your grandparents. That's the law of the way, it's only natural. So they don't know any better than that, right? So I got an E. That was my first taste of being told, do this, not this, right? And my dad, when he saw that E, he then said, Shuno, don't tell your son what to pick in A-levels, let him pick. So that was my first taste of resistance. I observed a human being resist on my behalf, yeah? And I got to choose what I wanted. So I went to Royal Holloway. I did a bachelor's in economics and mathematics, a joint major. I then went to University of Manchester. Why? Because my mom would say, Baki shob bhabira to chele mera kon masters korlo eta bole amake dawate. Which translates to the ladies in the neighborhood talk about their kids' masters. I can't talk about it. So this picture actually was saying, now cow, degree cow, koita khaba cow. She found that really funny. So I did a master's in international politics. When I was 16, I did research of what I want to be in the future, and I thought 16-year-old Zeeshan just wants to make money. So I did research, bankers make most money statistically, so I chose economics and mathematics. I was not happy. I got into finance, I did it for 6 months, I realized this is not who I am. So then I did international politics. I wanted to do a job somewhere in the World Bank, the UN, maybe a think tank. But I don't know, I still wasn't happy. Yeah? And then I realized I used to do tutoring, and the joy of a kid, my first ever kid that I tutored, she failed grade 10 maths twice. And then I started teaching her. So she failed twice. Her mother was my recruiter. She said, my daughter's failed twice. Do you teach maths? I said, yes. I taught her, and she passed. She failed twice completely. She got a C. So from you, she got a C. And she's now a teacher because you need a minimum C. So that felt amazing. So I decided to become a teacher. And I went to UCL. And I started my teaching career. So I mentioned this for a reason. UCL, Institute of Education, #1 in the world for 11 years in a row for teacher training. That's where I trained. I got an outstanding, which is the best grade you can get, from the best educational department on the planet. And then I was dating someone who said, Tumi shara jibon teacher hoye thakba. Okay, so one of my ex-partners said this, and her family had the same question. And she herself sometimes started to put me down about teaching as a career. Because in our country, in this part of the world, who does teaching jobs? Housewives do teaching jobs, right? You're not good enough unless you're a university lecturer, right? And you know what I did? I'm an extrovert by definition. Like, you can put my picture next to the word extrovert in the dictionary. People say I can just start speaking to people in a room of 50, 100. I can start speaking in a stadium. I'm confident. I was working hard. I was succeeding in my job. And she put me down so much, I quit. After 2.5 years of teaching, I quit. I started to apply for sales roles because I'm good at sales. I can speak. I've already made you giggle like 6 times. I've got your attention. And I started doing that. I interviewed amongst 30 people in the first place. There are specific recruiters that bring a group of 30. You have an entire day of assessment. I was in the top 2. Only we got interviews with jobs. But as I was applying for jobs and then going for those interviews, for the first time in my life, I was nearly 28, 29, and I was like, what am I doing? Why am I allowing another human being who supposedly cares about me, loves me, is putting me down about what my passion is and what I love? Because I don't care about money. As long as I have a roof, some food, I'm happy. Most teachers are like that. And so I stopped myself. I didn't take the job. I went back to teaching. So that was my first taste of resistance in my life. If you as an individual have never made a life choice at any age because of someone saying something negative to you, then stay standing, otherwise sit down. If you have never been affected by someone saying negative things to you, if you have never felt bad about it, if you have always been so confident that you never, ever, ever made a life choice because of someone saying something, then stay standing, otherwise sit down. So if you have been affected by it, sit down. If you have been affected by it, sit down. If you have never been affected by anyone's negative comment, then stay standing, otherwise sit down. Okay, let's see. If you have never at any age been affected by someone saying something negative, stay standing. We have 3 people. Can we have a round of applause for them? 3. You can sit down now. By the way, you 3 inspire me. That's amazing, because you look pretty young. Yeah, I was nearly 30 when I first resisted. So that's an amazing place to be. When I came back to Dhaka, I was away for 16 years outside of Bangladesh. My first ever investment was a restaurant called Laughing Buddha. It's a Thai restaurant. Alhamdulillah, is doing really well. That was my first ever business venture. My granddad was a 9-to-5 guy. My dad, army, 9-to-5. I am a 9-to-5 guy. When I said to my dad, I'm going to invest in a business, what do you think he said? Sure to. Baba dekho. Watch out. Watch out. And I didn't listen. I went for it. I resisted. I've now learned resistance. I kept resisting. I then came across my friend, who's my friend from London. He got in touch with me. And would he have gotten in touch with me if I wasn't a teacher? No, he's a finance guy. He wanted to do an edtech. It was his idea. But he needed an education guy. Imagine if my ex-girlfriend put me down so bad that I didn't have that epiphany and I didn't resist and I wasn't a teacher, I wouldn't have had this journey, because I'm going to tell you very quickly what this journey gave me and gave Bangladesh. And so he got in touch and we started Chico. So it was a disruptive solution. There's another whole TED talk on this, so you can watch that. I'm going to fly through these slides. So we started an app so that someone in the middle of a jungle in Borishal on the border can get access to the most talented teachers in DU, BUET, NSU, BRAC, wherever, for $1 a month. That's the idea. So let's say I go to BUET, I teach physics, I'm amazing, I charge 3,000 taka per month, but I have brought him on our platform, and now everyone all over Bangladesh can afford. The idea was a billionaire to a CNG or a rickshaw puller's son should get the same teacher. That was the idea, and that's what we do. So we started in my parents' building. Our landlord was kind enough to give me his half floor of garments. So this is next to the toilet, which is not used, the green screen. That's where we started the animation video. So we teach science concepts through animation. Fast forward, this is what they look like. We still are the only company in the country that have done over 4,000 animated lessons across SSC, HSC. This is the country's first world-class green screen studio that we eventually built to continue to make those animated lessons. Global, you'll just pause for a second, you can clap at the end, there's more coming. Global and local VCs have invested over $8 million US, which is the highest in the history of the country for any edtech company. And all of that we're doing for SSC, HSC, even grade 7 now. And it reached from 2 guys in a bedroom to 400 plus staff within 2.5 years. Okay? That's the world of startups for you. And then keep going. And by the way, my dad wasn't the only one who was like, are you sure? Because when I invested in Laughing Buddha, I was calculated. I'm a mathematician. I do probability, I do stats. I calculated what percentage of my savings I want to risk so that I spread them out. But when it came to Chico, I invested every dime I had in my bank account because I'm passionate about education. Every single dime that I saved my entire life. I just put it in. Because I said, if I can help even 10 kids, that'll be amazing. Let's see what we can do. So, as of today, 2.5 million, that's 25 lakh learners have used our platform. We have monthly traffic of over 500,000 students across our platform. 3 out of 4 students received GPA 5 in SSC 2024 exams. I remember my first ever phone call from the call center. I spoke to a child who lives in the Indian border and he said, I'll say this in Bangla, I'll translate. Sir, আমি every day আধা ঘন্টা হেঁটে ক্লাসে যাই. He was very animated because he recognized my voice. Sir, আপনি ওই স্যার না? And আমি আধা ঘন্টা হেঁটে যাই স্যার, কিচ্ছু বুঝি না স্কুলে গিয়ে, তাও প্রত্যেকদিন যাই স্যার, কিন্তু আপনার ভিডিও সব বুঝি. This was my first phone call, and that was the most beautiful feeling that I could have gotten for some boy who lives in such a rural area. He has to walk to school for half an hour. And 51% of our live class, this one I'm proud of, attendees are female. So, and they're mostly rural. And when we started, there was probably over 50 people who said, bro, don't risk it, just do what you're doing. At least 50, at least. And fast forward, and today, if I was to put golden dots on all the children that use our platform, this is what the map looks like. And then I left. I quit. I was waiting for the clap to finish to drop the bomb. I quit around a year and a half ago. Why? Most people don't know that. I haven't updated my LinkedIn yet. I'm sorry. I will do so soon. I've been busy. I quit because my passion is education. I'm a purist. So when I started working for Shiko, I'm co-founder. I had all the time. It was 2 people, and then 22 people, and then 150. Even when it was 150 staff, I had time to look at every single animated lesson and judge the quality, read every single script. I had that time. I went from 5 and 95% ratio to doing chief of operations stuff to 50-50, 30-70, 20-80. Eventually, the education side of things, it basically came to zero. 100% of my work was operations. So I spoke to my friend and I said, bro, I don't enjoy this. I want to be involved directly with the knowledge stuff. And everything I've learned abroad in my training at UCL, I've passed it on so they can carry this forward. So I'm going to go back to doing what I love because I never did it for the money. Hopefully we'll get some money in the end. It'll be a nice bonus. But if I don't, it's okay. And I left. So I went to Aga Khan school and I joined Aga Khan. As a child, I was in Aga Khan and I joined Aga Khan recently. And I work at Aga Khan just down the road. I've just come from work. And these have changed now, the dialogues. I gave you random examples before. These are lines that I heard throughout my life. University lecturer how at least. আরে ও লাকি দেখে ব্যবসায় ভালো করছে। তুমি কি সারা জীবন টিচার হয়ে থাকবা? মাস্টার্স করো, সব ভাবিরা ছেলেমেয়ের মাস্টার্সের কথা বলে। বিয়ে করো বাবা, আমি নাতি চাই। And again, I resisted. I did not get married. I caused my parents some pain. I resisted. Because without that resistance, I realized I will not be happy. And long term, if I'm unhappy, will my parents be happy? Absolutely not. But ourselves can free our minds. Medicine can help you. Physically, money, wealth can help you. But when it comes to your minds, the most powerful tool, yes, there's counseling, but the most powerful tool you have is yourself. So a few things that you need to do. The first thing is prioritize yourself. Mandy Hale, she's an award-winning New York Times bestseller. She says, it's not selfish to love yourself. Take care of yourself and to make happiness a priority. It's necessary. I'm nearly 40 years old. I try to gym as much as I can. I will skip a movie, not have dinner with my wife so that I don't miss gym if I'm really in the mood for it. Because I need to prioritize, and she respects that. I need to prioritize that. You need to prioritize yourself because when you prioritize yourself and love yourself, you will reach that freedom where you are the best version of yourself to offer to the rest of the world, to your work, to your personal relationships. So the second thing I'd recommend, and it doesn't have to be a partner, it could be a best friend. You want to find someone who will build with you, not take from you. So find a friend. It could be your father, it could be your mother, it could be your best friend, it could be your neighbor's son who you grew up with. In my case, it has to be the person you spend the most amount of time with. I have some amazing best friends, cousins. One of my little brothers is here, Zubian. But for me, that person is my wife, Iveta. She's been, I'm not usually speechless, but yeah, I am right now. She's been amazing in my life, yeah? And 2 last things I want to say, give back. So when you get that, if I have inspired even one person here to achieve something moving forward, I would like you to give back. Because I believe in Allah, I believe in karma, and I believe giving will then enable you to gain more of this freedom and to do more for people. I'll finish off by saying, like I said, freedom of the mind, regardless of your background. Because imagine you come from a rich family, you have all the resources on the planet, but people around you keep putting you down and you quit. And what's the point of having all those resources? It's pointless. It is completely pointless. So be resilient, resist when you hear those things, and fight until you gain that freedom. And if in the future I have inspired a few people to achieve your dreams and hopefully make some money, I want you to give back to this country, to the people of this country. And if I've inspired you a little, this is a personal request because this is something very important to me, give a little something at some point in the future to the children of Gaza. Thank you.